Hello. I don't know. Too loud? Can't see. Let's try. Cricket. Might be clipping. I really can't tell. Trying to get centered and focused. I don't have anything to drink. I really want something sweet like fruit punch. I don't have any. Today I'm going to take another look at Bernhard Guenther. Time of Transition. This was a book. Yeah, it's interesting. The Seduction Alchemy. A book recommended to me. Master the art of seduction and confidence. Embrace your inner goddess. That's crazy, bro. Yeah, the seduction alchemy. Wow. 30,000 women lives changed. Oh my god, I would read that just for the black pill, bro. Time of Transition. Bernhard Guenther, we're reading. And he posted twice recently. He posted Battle for the Soul. Read that. Oh, this is the next one. Was it a note? Oh, this was it. The hero's journey is different for women. So it was a note that I read. I read it in an email. Oh, this is a long note, bro. I can't read all the notes and all the comments. I just can't. Shit's gonna get so weird and so terrible. 5 days ago. AI. I cannot keep up with fucking Bernhard Guenther, bro. He's writing too much. He's writing every 2 days. So I'm just going to stick to the articles. I'm on his 4th article here. I read the note which said the hero's journey is different for women, and it recommended listening to his podcasts. No, actually, feminism was a CIA operation intending to destroy the family. Bernhard says that's what I was alluding to, and it is acknowledged. However, there is more to the story from a psycho-spiritual perspective and the feminine psyche beyond blaming the CIA. Listen to the episode for context. I will listen to it. Thank you. I have lived the feminine's demise and rise again. Many think feminine energy is rising to rule, dominate, destroy the patriarchy. In reality, feminine is rising to take her rightful place next to the masculine, to balance, to be equal, not take over. Men and women are the physical manifestations of the feminine and masculine energies. Women need to embrace their strengths and weaknesses, as men need to also. The truth is, women have different strengths than men. They are not made to be the same, as many fight for. The energies are made to complement each other, not dominate. If there's too much of one, the other gets suppressed. The universe is about balance in all aspects. Isn't that just boring? Have sent my 22-year-old daughter who is going through her first breakup and will listen myself soon. Thank you so much. Sometimes I wonder what happens if we remove gender from this discussion and just asks, who wants to be in the masculine provider role and who wants to be in the feminine emotional provider? They both lead in different ways, and it can be gender, any gender or non-gender. Quote, superficial role playing nailed it. Today's article from Bernhard Guenther, I'll share his Substack below. Time of transition, veil of reality, piercing the veil of reality, the podcast, the website. Today, war, perception, and the divine. I need to make sure that if I hold it like this, that kind of works, right? Can I make it bigger? Oh, that's too big. Kind of like that. So why don't I just start? War, perception, and the divine orchestration, transcending the fear matrix frequency. This is an article I have very little interest in. I am not interested in reading about Bernard's perspective on the Iran-Israel conflict. If he goes into that at all in this, which he certainly will, I'm checking out. I read these articles because they serve a purpose, not because I enjoy them. Core insights. Bullet point 1. I usually mark the subheaders as they go by. Everyone sees war and the world through their own lens. Bullet point 2. Certainly, certainty and dogma are traps, especially when rooted in fear. Bullet point 3. Fear feeds egregores and lowers your defenses to occult forces. Bullet point 4. Most predictions are distortions that distract from your inner guidelines. Bullet point 5. The outer world mirrors your inner state. Perception reflects repression. I have a disagreement with that one there, but I'll go on. Bullet point 6. Shadow work is essential. What you don't face manifests as fate. Bullet point 7. Fear is the matrix's core frequency. Face your fear to transcend it. Bullet point 8. Divine will is at play. Trust it. Align with it. Play your part. He's saying it. You struggle to debate with it, but I pretty much find it boring. I'm not going to say it's true or untrue. I find it lame. Bernhard Guenther is lame as a fuck. Okay. Subtopic 1. War and the crisis of the Middle East. Lenses of interpretation. You can view it through the geopolitical lens filtered through your left, centrist, conservative, liberal, right, anarchist, or libertarian bias or perspective. You can see it through the lens of the deep state actors, globalist elites, fringe conspiracies, ancient cults, and secret societies. You can view it through the Western occult esoteric lens, as seen as the works of Steiner and anthroposophy, among others. You can view it through the lens of Wetiko, occult forces, hyperdimensional entities. You can view it through the lens of Gnostic cosmology, of the demiurge and archons. You can see it through any religious and spiritual lens, whether it's the Western Christian view, esoteric Christianity, or the Eastern teachings of integral yoga, the Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, and so on. You can view it through the lens of transpersonal depth psychology and the Jungian concept of the collective and personal shadow/psyche. You can see it through the astrological lens. You can view it through the forces of karma spanning lifetimes and epochs, and the universal cosmic and spiritual forces that drive the evolution of consciousness. You can see it through any other system of teaching of philosophy, psychology, occultism, esotericism, spirituality, politics, or economics, and a fusion of many of them. Isn't this fucking... I'm trying to think of the right word. Bloated. Isn't this bloated and vague? Boring. They are all valid to a degree, while each has its limitations, just like the human mind is limited. Some overlap occurs, presenting the same concepts and views in their various manifestations and unique language. Each view represents a different level of consciousness. You can bring David Hawkins' work and his map of consciousness into the mix as well. We have many researchers and social media commentators in these fields presenting their views on what they believe is happening, interpreted through the lens they use, along with their biases, which we all have. Some of them provide great insights and valuable work. I entertain all of these views while giving my particular flavor to them. Others become stuck in very dogmatic, black and white tunnel vision and over-identify with their views. On top of it all, everyone's perception is shaped by their specific social and cultural conditioning, ancestral imprints, childhood upbringing, unconscious trauma, and the shadow. Subsection 2. The danger of certainty and dogma. The only advice I have is to be cautious of anyone claiming to know exactly what is going on and what is going to happen with absolute certainty, especially those with a doom and gloom, black pill mindset, or a very narrow, one-sided perspective without nuance as the sole foundation for their view. It tends to create tunnel vision and dogma. Only God sees all, for God is all, and sees with the eyes of the divine, existing beyond space and time. Beyond our little monkey minds, systems, or even judgments of what we think is, quote, good or, quote, bad in the long run. The divine is doing his work through us, despite our ignorance, ego inflation, and distortions. It's interesting, he used a capital H for his. That is interesting. The divine is also doing his work through us, despite our ignorance, ego inflation, and distortions. I have my particular lens, experiences, studies, but I wouldn't claim to know exactly what is going on. Readers familiar with my work over the years know that I don't take any particular teaching or system as the sole foundation to see everything through. Not even Jungian shadow work, as some have already projected onto me. No pun intended. And misconstrued. At the same time, I found that shadow work and inner psycho-spiritual work are indispensable in these times, allowing us to stay connected to our essence, our true self, and ultimately to the divine. Many people also don't seem to understand what shadow work entails. and make all kinds of false assumptions. I see it as a magnificent adventure, and I'm grateful to be in this moment of time with you all. Using the astrological lens, this is Neptune in Aries at full force. A multi-dimensional spiritual war is intensifying, but it all catalyzes the evolution of consciousness. All there is are lessons for humanity. Subsection 3, don't feed the egregore. A quote from Sri Aurobindo. Quote, fear opens the door to adverse occult forces. What you fear is just the thing that is likely to come to you. Fear attracts the object of fear, end quote. There is a lot of fear in the air. Don't let the fear egregores infect you with lower states of consciousness and feed off your energy. Did I get through the sentence? An egregore is an esoteric concept in occultism, a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group of individuals. I've explored that topic deeply in a recent article linked. There is a massive egregore that has been created by the masses over the past few years, constantly growing, injecting fear, and feeding off it in a various feedback loop driven by bullet point 1, fear of World War III. Bullet point 2, fear of escalating war in the Middle East. Bullet point 3, fear of terror attacks. Bullet point 4, fear of the power grid failing. Bullet point 5, fear of economic collapse. Bullet point 6, fear of global extinction events. Or any other fear you may have about the future in your personal life or the world. Feeding the fear of what you think will happen only leads to more anxiety, paranoia, and doom and gloom, as your mind and occult entities inject you with worries and fearful images of the future. Which you then give power to and potentially help manifest as a probability. It also lowers your consciousness and psychic defenses, making you more susceptible to manipulation by hostile entities. You'll start seeking anything to justify your fears and projections, augmented by thought injections that are not your own. These hidden non-physical forces attempt to create their desired reality through you, tagging into your weaknesses and feeding off your fear. Many in the so-called truth movement revel in this paranoid fear frequency and have become food sources and pawns for archonic entities outside their five sensory awareness. I caution against believing any specific claims about what is going to happen. Most of these predictions come from people already stuck in fear-based states of consciousness. Below 200 on David Hawkins' map of consciousness, which includes 85% of humanity. To learn more about Hawkins' work, listen to our podcast, How to Raise Your Level of Consciousness. Predictions, whether positive or negative, from channel material and ET sources also reflect lower states posing as higher ones. They are deceptive by design and should not be taken at face value. I've felt for some of them in the past. No true divine force would ever give specific predictions. For the past 25 years, I've heard endless doom and gloom and golden age survivor narratives, especially around 2012. I bought into some of them, getting caught in future projections based on fear. None of them ever manifested. In truth, they did only one thing: distract me from my own inner guidance, bodily intuition, creativity, and authentic connection to the divine. These are the very things that help me be the change and positively affect the world without falling into a dysregulated survival mode. I still recall popular figureheads in the truth movement predicting a total collapse 4 years ago during the pandemic, with no access to food, gas, water, or electricity for 6 months. None of it happened, not even for a single day. I'm not saying bad things can happen, but they rarely happen the way we think they will. The more you're caught up in a potential negative outcomes, the more you're living from your head, disconnected from your body, essence, and inner guidance system. As a result, you're more vulnerable to hyperdimensional manipulation and occult interference. Subsection 4. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. This is where I kind of have maybe a misunderstanding, but I disagree with some of the things he's going to say in this. I can't quite explain the disagreements, why I disagree, what I see, but from that subsection header, I don't agree with this. The projection stuff, I don't. Seeing what is outside is not what is inside. That is a misunderstanding in the spiritual community. That doesn't make sense. The more fear we carry inside, the more our perception of the world becomes fearful and paranoid, where everything is seen as a trap or a psychological operation. This is the foundation of the black-pilled truther. Often the fear is repressed and unconscious. We focus on what's already within us, what we've suppressed or projected from the unconscious. And I take the dude with a grain of salt. I called him secret police. I'm not afraid to go back into that position. I apologize, but I'm not too sure about this man. I don't know who this man is or what his understanding of God is. All I know, he did use the capital H for his in talking about the divine, which is, I don't know, kind of a little jumbled. So I'm going to keep reading this, but this guy is like some kind of like, I don't know if he's from Norway, like fucking some Scandinavian country, some country up north. And those people are warped with a pretty serious fervor. We focus on what's already within us, what we've suppressed or projected from the unconscious. Bullet point 1, to the fearful person, the world appears terrifying, shrouded in negativity and apathy. Bullet point 2, to the angry person, the world is chaos and frustration. Bullet point 3, to the guilty person, the world is a field of temptation and sin, projected outward as we see in dogmatic, fundamentalist religious types. Subsection 5. Nothing external causes your stress or fear. That's a significant one to understand truly. It seems a bit counterintuitive, and the ego may protest against it because it would need to relinquish blame. Stress arises from repressed emotions. External situations merely trigger what we've been holding inside, consciously or unconsciously. It's not the events themselves that cause stress, but our internal reactions. The ego mind tends to avoid confronting the roots of these emotions and instead uses projection to blame others. That's the essence of shadow projection. Phrases like, quote, he made me angry, quote, they got me upset, quote, this event caused my anxiety, are signs of this unconscious dynamic. In truth, it works the other way around, is because we are already angry at the events of other people, quote, make us, quote, angry. It is because we are already afraid, but have repressed the fear that makes us fear others, the world, the future, and so on. We unconsciously attract and create events based on our suppressed emotions and repressed shadow. Not all, for there are forces beyond our control, but many. And to be clear, this is not the same as what New Age circles refer to as, quote, the law of attraction. I've witnessed the distortions of the law of attraction in this short video. New Age distortion of the law of attraction, and ask and you shall receive. This is the metaphysical truth. What you see out there is also inside you. This applies to our personal lives and the collective. From Sri Aurobindo, war is no longer, perhaps, a biological necessity, but it is still a psychological necessity. What is within us must manifest itself outside. Shit. I'm talking about this fucking, what comes from outside is a thing from inside, and I'm like, I got a call and my heart is racing. Hence, you see people gravitating to, quote, outrage porn, fear-based information on social media, where they feed the same egregore, group, thought form entity. It often is a, quote, louche fest, where they support each other's shadow projections and repressed emotions as they need, quote, reasons and, quote, justifications for their negative inner life. The mind and intellect are very cunning and deceptive in that regard, looking for any story and event, real or made up, to justify their emotionally charged projections. Subsection 6. Transcending the fear matrix frequency. A quote from the mother who works with Sri Aurobindo, I believe. Quote, fear is an impurity, one of the greatest impurities, one of those which came most directly from the anti-divine forces which want to destroy the divine action on earth. And the first duty is to eliminate from their consciousness, with all the might, all the sincerity, all the endurance of which they are capable, even the shadow of a fear. To walk on the path, one must be dauntless and never indulge in that petty, small, feeble, nasty shrinking back upon oneself, which is fear. End quote. It is good to remember that fear is based on time, anticipating a future event. Hence, is an illusory psychological fear that has nothing to do with the present moment and the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. Our mind can come up with all kinds of, quote, if scenarios and projections. Still, it is caught in the illusion of linear time. It cannot possibly foresee the future in detail, let alone our unique soul purpose, the lessons we need to learn, and the talents we are here to develop as embodied individuals during this time of transition. Fear is an illusion rooted in the fear of death and stemming from ego identification. Isn't this boring? Mansplaining fucking everything. Every important thing. He's got to mansplain it. I'm going to try that again. Fear is an illusion rooted in the fear of death, stemming from ego identification. Danger can be real, and it is beneficial to plan for the future, but acting out of fear is ultimately a choice. That doesn't mean we should deny, suppress, or avoid fear, quite the opposite. Feeling anxiety and fear at times is normal, especially during these times of increasing energies as more is coming to light. Don't judge yourself when it happens. Don't suppress it. Don't fight it either, nor project outwardly, nor attempt to spiritually, intellectually bypass it. Go into it, surrender to it, get out of your head, feel it from a non-reactive, non-judgmental place, and let it reveal what needs to come to light. You will see what is truly behind it, and that there was nothing to fear all along. It is part of shadow work and healing, transmuting the dark into light, from lead into gold. What you fear most often points to the part of your shadow that wants healing. It's also the key to your secret gift, treasure, and kingdom within. When you consciously face and process your fear, you won't be feeding any entities. You only provide them the loosh when you unconsciously project it or suppress it into your shadow. Joseph Campbell says, quote, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek," end quote. The key is to enter the body and establish a connection to the spirit or higher self, letting go of any conditioned beliefs and identifications. It's a process that is different for each of us. There are times we're in. Something much bigger is unfolding, which our petty little minds can never grasp. Any fear you carry is rooted in the fear of death, which keeps you from truly living. Fear is the Matrix's core frequency. It manipulates you unconsciously, keeps you entrapped under the illusion of free will. Some of this stuff doesn't make any fucking sense. The Matrix forces want you afraid. It severs you from your divine power, intuition, creativity, and inner freedom. Here are some general tips on how to transcend the fear-based muted matrix. Boring. Bullet point 1. Face any fear you have within. Don't deny it. Don't escape it. Don't project it. Bullet point 2. Make peace with death. It keeps you from truly living and thriving. Bullet point 3. Engage in psycho-spiritual work to help bring forth your true self. Bullet point 4. Work with prayer and sincere aspiration to the divine. Bullet point 5. Be aware of your nervous system. Bullet point 6. Get into your body. Be in nature. Bullet point 7. Breathe consciously and take breaks from the internet, news, and social media. Note to self. This is not an overnight process. Consistency and sincerity are key. It will help you align with your higher nature, your soul, your inner guide, and your connection to the divine. This is how you raise your consciousness, and that is how your level of being, living from your essence, has the most positive effect on the world at large, resulting in conscious action rather than mere reactivity manipulated by a fear egregore. You cannot transmute what you don't face within yourself. Subsection 7. Anchoring in trust and divine will. Ultimately, the only thing I know is that I can trust the divine. Some may refer to it as God, Christ, Krishna, the universe, or spirit. It's a deep faith, an inner knowing, and an inner alignment that transcends the mental mind and any feelings. It's impossible to put into words. Nothing can shake it. Nothing can make me doubt it. Whatever happens, whatever it may be, needs to happen, and there is no error in creation. Divine will is going to succeed. It already has, yet we still need to play our part, just as Arjuna did on the battlefield, as told in the Bhagavad Gita. Enjoy the ride. I'll leave you with 2 quotes for reflection and contemplation. Long quotes here. First one is from Sat Prem, The Adventure of Consciousness. The second quote is from Sri Aurobindo, The Synthesis of Yoga. Sat Prem, The Adventure of Consciousness. Each thing, each being, each force on the earth moves toward a special absolute, expressing it more or less accurately and often pervasively, but despite all the flaws and perversions, it obeys an intimate law that impels it towards the one truth of its being. Even the leaves on the same tree are all unique. If it were not for that absolute and unique truth at the center of each one of us, we would crumble. But the mind, which sees only the present surface of things, seeks to trim off all the rough edges, purify by exclusion, and reduce its world to a uniform, righteous, and equitable truth. It decrees, quote, "This is good, that is bad, this is friendly, that is hostile," end quote. It might want to eliminate all the Nazis from the world, or all the Chinese, for instance, thinking they're quite unnecessary calamities. And the mind is right, by definition, since it is designed to be reasonable, and since it, too, expresses a mental or moral absolute that has its place and purpose. However, this is not the whole truth. It is only one perspective. Some will say that our partiality, our mind, our morals are necessary instruments for living in the world as it is now, and this is true. We do need to be partial. But this is also why the world is not whole. We should never lose sight of the fact that these are transitory instruments, and that we must aim at replacing these stopgaps, as Sri Aurobindo called them, with a consciousness that is vision and power. Finally, this is why we lack power. For if we possessed power, we would, with the best intentions, precipitate a catastrophe through ignorance or short-sightedness. Our shortcomings are necessary shortcomings. Not only does the supramental divine consciousness capture all the points of view, but also the deeper forces at work behind each thing as well as the truth within each thing. It is a truth consciousness, and because it sees all, it automatically possesses power. We are powerless because we do not see. To see and to see totally necessarily mean to have power. But the supramental divine power does not obey our logic or morality. It sees far into space and time, and it does not try to do away with evil in order to save the good, nor does it work through miracles. It frees the good that is within the evil, applying its force and light on the dark half so it can sense to its luminous counterpart. Wherever it is applied, the immediate effect is to touch off a crisis, that is, to place the shadow in front of its own light. It is a stupendous evolutionary ferment. This shit barely makes any sense, man. Sri Aurobindo, The Synthesis of Yoga. Quote, "The only free will in the world is the one divine will, of which nature is the executrix. For she is the master and creator of all other wills. Human free will can be real in a sense, but like all things that belong to the modes of nature, it is only relatively real. The mind rides on a swirl of natural forces, balanced on a poise between several possibilities, inclines to one side or another, settles, and has the sense of choosing, but it does not see. It is not even dimly aware of the force behind that has determined its choice. It cannot see it because that force is something total and to our eyes indeterminate. Beyond this petty instrumental action of the human will, there is something vast and powerful and eternal that oversees the trend of the inclination and presses on the turn of the will. There is a total truth in nature, greater than our individual choice. This apparently self-acting mechanism of nature conceals an immanent divine will that compels and guides it and shapes its purposes. But you cannot feel or know that will while you are shut up in your narrow cell of personality, blinded and chained to your viewpoint of the ego and its desires. For you can wholly respond to it only when you are impersonalized by knowledge and widened to see all things in the self and in God and the self and God in all things. Oh my God. The state of ignorance in which you believe that you are the doer of your acts persists so long as it is necessary for your development. But as soon as you are capable of passing into a higher condition, you begin to see that you are an instrument of the one consciousness. You take a step upward and you rise to a higher consciousness level, end quote. Very interesting, huh? Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. What do I have to say about that article? Not much. I just personally find it boring. It doesn't interest me much at all. Maybe I'm just too young to read this kind of stuff. I'm 32, but I can't stand to care that much. So, thanks for reading the article with me. It's been Turtle Island Tetragrammaton. Hope you got some value out of it. I definitely did, but I don't know, free will. I don't have the capacity to understand it, so I don't even try. So, thanks for joining me for Bernhard Guenther's article. Hope you have a blessed day. Say goodbye, Bombay. Meow. Come on, speak to him. Boop, boop, boop. Have a great night, everyone. See ya.